Alrighty then, we are back with episode 1, well, 27, but episode 1 of the newly formatted and newly branded podcast. Used to be called Creators Unplugged, so if you guys listen to the Creators Unplugged podcast, you are not in the wrong space. Moving forward, this will now be the Midnight Release podcast. So officially on episode 1 of the newly rebranded Creators Unplugged podcast, which is now the Midnight Release podcast. Welcome to the studio, Zacchariah. How are you doing, man?
I am doing good, Ghost. How are you?
Oh, I'm sweating. It's getting hot down here in Georgia, so I can feel the heat. Once the bugs come out, that's how you know.
The mosquitoes, they're the worst.
Mosquitoes, it's like a cockroach, but 2x the size. It's a
pardon me,
like a
excuse me.
Yeah, what's it called? I live here, so it's got 6 legs, and it's much larger than a cockroach, and
You've
it's
lost me.
super fast, and it flies. I had never seen them before. I'd never seen them before, and then I moved here and I saw one on the wall one day, and I said, "What is that? What is that?" I'll find the name. I'll find the name and send it to you. But before we get started and jump in here, why don't you let the people know where they can find you, any socials, any special projects, what you're working on, what you're playing, and then just a full spelling so people can find you.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to apologize in advance for the spelling because it's very long. I plan on fixing that, but you can most often find me at twitch.tv/Zacchariah, ZACCHARIAH. Yeah, that is kind of long, but that's basically where you'll find me everywhere. Twitter, well, x.com/Zacchariah.
We can call it Twitter, man. We don't have
You can call it. I still call it Twitter. It's whatever.
Yeah.
Instagram is Zacchariah_. That's basically it. I'm more just like a streamer than anything else. I do have something in kind of the works, but I've had it in the works for a very long time. I don't know if you ever had a project that you've kind of just like chipped away at it, but you're never really like set that roadmap for where it's going to be. So it's kind of just always been indefinite. I've got something there, but
you're talking about
for
content creation?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Like literally uploading one YouTube video, like literally one, but my brain is just like, it's not perfect yet. So I haven't just like properly, like the setup isn't perfect, so I haven't properly started it. So, but yeah, just right now, Twitch is where you can find me. I stream typically Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and kind of like this, I just like my streams to be a chill hangout spot, just cool people having a good time. And yeah, that's basically it for what I do on these internets.
Can you tell us what that video is about, or is that going to be kind of hush hush until you?
Well, it's not hush hush. I'm visiting a game that means a lot to me, and I feel like I'm the only person. I'm the only person who feels this way.
Yes.
But do you know? I'm sure you know Mirror's Edge, right?
Yes.
Yes, this is actually a video I wanted to make for the longest time on Mirror's Edge Catalyst, because someone is going to grab the pitchfork for me. But I think Catalyst is the superior game. I think it's really underrated. I think it's beautiful. I think it is flawed, but despite its flaws, people should really, take another look at it. Just kind of see what it did right. Don't focus too much on what it did wrong, because there's a lot of what games do wrong, and I think we should be a little more positive about these things sometimes. But yeah, that's it. I've got some footage there, but it's in the early stages.
I'll tell you this. If you put that video out, you're going to get an immediate, 10 subs, because there's at least 10 other people who feel the same way you do.
At least
it's crazy. I promise you. Okay. I switched to YouTube from Twitch, I don't know, maybe a year ago, something like that. I was always on Twitch.
Yeah.
And right now I'm just doing a lot of game reviews. So any game that I have finished in its entirety, I'm doing just not reviews, but more like, should you buy this game? Is it worth the money? Is it worth the cost? 3 years later, should you really be spending $30 on it? That type of thing. And no matter what I put out, whether it's 40 views or the highest viewed one, there's always a small group of people that are like, I love this game. I'm so happy you talked about it. For example, I really loved the game Tavern Master. Did you ever play that game?
I've never even heard of that game. Wow,
it is a small...
Tell me.
Right, it's okay. It's a management game. Do you play management games? Do you like management titles?
I've played wait, have I played management games? No. Well, does like game dev story count? It was kind of like it's kind of like a roller coaster tycoon kind of thing, but it was you'd be like a game dev kind of thing, or is it like resource management kind of thing?
Roller Coaster Tycoon counts. I'm
Okay,
sure
yeah,
that does
tycoon.
too. Yeah,
Okay.
any kind of yeah, it could be like Overcooked counts.
Okay,
Any of the
yeah, for
city
sure, yeah.
builders,
Hmm.
Sim City. You know, like you could play this. Like I guess Sims in a way is a management game. Um, yeah, it's that, but you manage a medieval tavern,
Nice.
and you build out your tavern, and you add all these different decorations, and it's this low
Mhm.
polygon graphic style made by, from what I can tell from the Discord, one maybe two people
Nice.
addicted to it. I put like 80 hours into it. It was it was a perfect like put on a movie game and not watch the movie. And you know
No,
what I
I
mean?
get that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
kind of like that really chill grind where you like if you do something without like if you don't have something in the background, it can feel kind of dull, but if you have something in the background and then you're playing that, it's kind of like this perfect mesh of just I'm just relaxing.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
And it is exactly that.
Mhm.
And the um, I put out that, not a lot of views, not a lot of engagement, but it's a niche game. Like there's just not the
Mhm.
following to have expectations beyond that would be silly. But the one or two comments I got on it, the guy was like, "Man, I've been looking at this game. I was looking for a review that was recent,
Mhm.
and this is all I need." And I was like, "It's just there's always some. The point is, there's always someone. Like if you put that out there, there's gonna be debate. Like people are
Like
gonna
what's
be
the meme?
forced to
Like
comment.
there's dozens of us.
Yes, 2 dozen
Yeah,
people out there,
literally dozens of us.
and they'll
Yeah.
find you. I promise
Yeah.
they'll find you. I promise, because they're looking for that video right now, and they
Mhm.
just can't find it because
They're
you
just
haven't made it
waiting
yet.
for it.
Yes, yes, I believe it. I believe that.
All right, well, that just gave me that little push that I needed to really go for it. Well, but I like that though. I like when I find something that it seems like, hey, I don't know if this is the hipster in me, but I find something that I think this is really cool, and there's something almost like validating about looking for it, and you realize, oh, not very many people like this, and it's either I'm weird or this is like so super cool and I've just found like this little gem and it feels really nice to have found this thing and I would love other people to find it, but until they do, it's like, hey, I have this really neat little thing that I can show people and maybe they'll think it's neat. It's just kind of like little treasure, little
Yeah,
precious.
that's the
Yeah.
beauty of it, right? Like
Yeah.
that's so. You have it's March 4th.
Mhm.
Maybe put it out March 20th, somewhere in that. Should we
Okay.
expect that? You want to put it in writing?
Two
Or?
weeks is a bit 2 weeks is a bit tight.
All right.
I won't put an official date on it yet,
All
but
right,
I
fair
will
enough.
keep you updated. I think like now that we've had this conversation, I think I'll keep you updated how it's going. And yeah, this is gonna give me the push. If it's a little rough around the edges, be patient with me. It's my first
Dude,
YouTube video.
go back to the first video. Okay, so on my YouTube channel, I have 216 videos, 217 videos
Damn.
published. There's like 500 videos private. I promise you, they are
On
not
that
good.
grind.
They are not good. Right? You put in what you perceive as work, and then you put it
Yeah.
out, and then you watch somebody else's, and you go, "Oh yeah, I can't. I gotta
Yeah,
put
I
some
suck at
private in
this.
it. I'm terrible." Yeah. Behind every 100 videos posted, there's 600 that are behind closed doors that you're never gonna see.
Yeah.
So the sooner you start, I promise, like get it out of the way. There's a do you ever listen to NPR
Well,
or like
apart
This
from
American
like
Life?
well, no, I don't listen to specifically that. Like, I literally listen to NPR news every morning, like up first, but that's about it. That's
Okay.
my news on my commute, even though I don't even live in the States. Don't ask me why I listen to NPR. But I know about NPR, like, I know about their stuff, and I like their Tiny Desk and This American Life, and I
Yeah.
know some of their shows. Anyway, I'm rambling. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, you're good. You're good.
Yeah.
Do you know Ira Glass? Have you ever heard
Yes,
that
I do
name?
know Ira Glass.
Okay,
Yes.
so he's got. I'll send this video to you. It was I whenever I'm like not feeling it and I'm not motivated and I'm like, why am I doing this? Is this a waste of time type thing?
Hmm.
There's a great video where he talks about the creative process. Already a great radio voice, like very easy to listen to. And
Mhm.
anyone listening to this, go listen to this. Just Google Ira Glass creative process. And he talks about this body of work that you have to create, and that the difference between a new writer or whatever your creative field is. The difference between the person just starting and the person who's at the top of their field is like it's a massive body of failures, basically.
Yeah.
Like, you can't create the 5-star dish until you've burnt rice and made slop eggs and like dropped the completed plate on the ground. You know what I mean? Like you have to.
It's the iceberg. It's like you can't see the mass that's under the water. You just see that little bit peeking above. You don't understand the full depth of it. And as someone who went to culinary school, I completely get those.
Okay,
I
that
did.
That was an accident.
I get those analogies, and I'm honestly right. It's been that was over 10 years ago, and I'm still burning rice. So it's like, no matter how much better you get, there's always going to be that day. And every mistake you make in any endeavor, I've realized this, not just as, in my everyday living, but even because I do a little graphic design too.
Okay.
Or I used to. And like you said, the number of things that I had never see the light of day that I design, as opposed to like a little handful of things I might put in a portfolio or put on my Instagram. It's like, yeah, I really do get what you're saying. And I guess I forget that sometimes. And I get it's good to have someone else say that to me. There's like, oh, okay, the way that I feel that this really, I'm not doing good enough work. It feels like I don't feel stupid for feeling that way now. It's like other better people feel that way too, and that it makes me feel a little more normal.
It is, man. I don't know. Okay, first of all, we're gonna dive into culinary school because I'm interested, and then I sometimes forget, and I have to scroll to the bowels of TikTok where I've really first started trying to make TikTok videos back in like early COVID.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I imagine like a lot of people were trying to break in on it there.
They're bad. They're so bad. The ideas are bad. The execution's bad. The editing's bad. Everything's bad. The script is bad. It's really bad. I cannot repeat.
I feel you could pull back just a little bit. Find something good.
Dude. But if you don't look at that and then look at where you are now, it's not good to yourself. You're like, well, I'm still garbage. You're like, do you remember the first video? Remember all those kitchen videos you made? It's not good, man. It's not good. But you can't, his whole point was like, you're just trying to close the gap between novice and perfection, though you'll never be perfect. The people at the top of their field are as close. They're the closest ones, but they created nonsense all the way up. Like it's like they just had to get it out of their system. You have to get rid of their crappy videos. But there's something to say is like, hey, this is a special idea, something near and dear to the heart. I don't want to waste the bad on that idea. So I could see that side of things too. If like, now this is like a special idea. I know I'm not talented or I don't believe that I'm talented enough yet to really get the point across. So I could see that side of it too, like saving it until you feel, maybe you're more ready to release something.
Yeah, I think that actually, now that you put it that way, that could be a part of it, because it's like it's for like a silly little video about a video game. It took, say I wanted to be like my Citizen Kane is stupid, but like Orson Welles made nothing and then made Citizen Kane and it was amazing, and that was just like groundbreaking. But on the other side of what you're saying, that even the people who are so close to perfection, they're not perfect, but it took a lot of messing up to do it. It's like, well, yeah, because messing up is such a necessary part of growth. And it's weird. It's like, I'm so aware of this because, the work that I do, which is neither culinary arts or graphic design, it's print production. I've lived many lives. But like I've screwed up so many things. Like I put up signs that just look like, oh wow, that's garbage. I printed some things and it's like, oh wow, this came out like crap. But it's like screwing up is such a necessary part of growth, and I often have to tell the people that I work with that. And I think sometimes in my endeavors outside of like my job, I tend to forget it because they're more personal. It's like in my job, I know, well, hey, if I don't want to get fired, I need to show that I'm learning. But if I'm like just sitting at my computer looking at a Word document, thinking of like how do I write this script, or if I'm looking at like my editing software, it's like how do I take this footage and make a video out of it? It's like there's really no like practical, for lack of a better word, application to it. Like, I'm not gonna get fired if I don't make this thing. I can just keep telling myself, no, it's not gonna be good, and I'll just find a YouTuber who makes amazing videos and be like, man, it'd be nice if I could do that. But it's that outside perspective, that kind of like ability to step back is nice to have, and I do appreciate the encouragement that I very much needed.
Well, man, if you want to do it. But like, I don't have to tell you that.
Yeah, but it's I still appreciate it. I mean, I'm just some dude who I can't remember. Like, did I find you on Twitch or did you find me? I cannot remember who found whom first.
I think it was through Paladins.
Yeah, I definitely
Had to
through
be.
Paladins.
And I
Like,
want to say maybe like a Wally connection potentially.
maybe I was in a Kowali stream, as I would be, because she's great.
Yeah.
And like she rated you, or I don't know if you rated her, and it's like, oh, okay, somehow we came across each other, and it's like you stream and then I stream and then we all stream and
yeah.
we all yeah, so
we're so
but
mysterious, man, because when you stream, I see the mouse, I see the keyboard, I see the cat, never the face. And I like
never
that
the
move.
face.
I like that move. Unless, I mean, not because we don't want to see your face. I'm just
no.
You know what I'm saying.
I mean, I like being a man of mystery, but it wasn't always like that, because, like, we all got to start somewhere. And when I started streaming, it was me, a PS4, and like a laptop couldn't handle the streaming, so everything was through the PS4. And the streamer growth journey. It's like, you get like a better mic, and then you get a little webcam, and blah 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 blah.
You find a free desk, and then
you find a free
your work
desk
is
on the
giving away
stream.
monitors, and yeah,
exactly. Or exactly, someone's thrown out an old PC, but it could still like run a stream without completely falling apart. Yeah. So I actually used to have a face cam, but I think I realized that it made me I'm a very self-conscious person, so it made me super self-conscious to have that camera on my face to the point where I would be like visibly sweating on stream.
You're not even playing Paladins.
Not even playing, like, yeah, not the sweating that we know so well, not the metaphorical, like literally like sweaty, like glossy forehead. It looked like the highlights on my skin were great. But yeah, so I know, like, I remember seeing like some streamers, they would do like the hand cam where you'd see the mouse and the keyboard and on the face cam.
Tried that once.
Yeah, like for those really cracked gamers. I know a cracked gamer like you that it seems like it makes sense. For me now, it's more like you're gonna watch my fingers just kind of dance over the keyboard like they've got two left feet on them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I decided, you know what? Let's try a thing where I completely remove my face, because I had two options. It was either hand cam or I become a VTuber. And my PC can't handle a VTuber rig. So, I decided, you know what?
Yeah.
Hand cam it is. And I like that it kind of became my thing, just the sentient pair of hands.
No, I dig it, man. I get it. I get it. Something similar for me was the first of all, 100% agree. When the cam is off, it is 1,000 times easier. And if you never stream with a face cam on, or maybe you're just super comfortable with it at this point, but when you first start, it is nerve-wracking. It is nerve-wracking. I don't know, it's just a strange sensation, and I think part of it is because everyone can see you and you can see no one. So like people will get to peer into your room or your life or whatever, and you are just exposed with no return. So when you first start streaming, and I started streaming on my Xbox, I think the very first game I streamed was one of the Telltale games, Wolf Among Us. Nice. I'm pretty sure.
Nice.
Which is a great one. And
I've only played like The Walking Dead, because like the first episode of Walking Dead, because that was like free on PS Plus, but I've heard nothing but good things about Wolf Among Us.
All Telltale games, I think it's one of my favorite game series studios. All those games are amazing.
Nice.
Yeah, and then people will drop in, and you're a low streamer, so you get trolls who go to the last page of Twitch and talk some trash, and then you feel like garbage. You never want to do it again. And
yeah.
So you're like, I guess I should turn this camera off. So it sucks. It sucks. So I
it does. I think I've been like blessed that I've always had, like, I've never really too often had to deal with like people being trolls. Like, it's either like no one's in there, or like maybe a couple chill people. I think I've always been super lucky that I've not had to deal with that, at least not at a in a way or at an amount that it kind of like stuck with me, or maybe I
Mhm.
just kind of let it go past me. But I remember like I would see your face cam and it would only be like the top half of your face. And I thought that's actually pretty cool. I've never seen like someone do their camera like that before. It's like I like these little like different approaches that kind of set people apart, you know?
I got a lot of crap for the forehead cam.
I
I got a
love the
lot.
forehead cam.
I got a lot of crap for the forehead cam. Uh, but it made me more comfortable. Like it made me more comfortable. Like I wasn't always like the most comfortable in my like in my skin. I was like, all right, well, if I don't mind people can just see my eyes and my hat. You know, it's and like that. It just made me more comfortable. And so I was like, I'll just try that. And I liked it, and I always thought it'd be funny to. eh, So many ideas. Like think about all the ideas you've had for live stream overlays and alerts that you just never did. And I always thought it'd be funny to do the forehead cam and then have a point redemption where a plane would come and land across my forehead, like as like a point. I don't know. It's silly. It made me laugh, so I thought it'd be funny. But
No, that'd be awesome. Like
um,
if you ever like incorporate like if you ever get back to like gameplay streaming and you incorporate that, like I would be constantly redeeming just land that plane on
right,
on that
right,
forehead.
right. So because like back, I would only play shooters for the longest time. It was just
Mhm.
Overwatch and Paladins and Apex, just
Yep.
nonstop in Battlefield. So I'd always I always find myself leaning in, and so people would just send me all kinds of screenshots of just the forehead all the time. Like it was harassment at that point of just nonstop. And I was like, man, like, oh, you could land a plane on that thing. I was like, it'd be funny to put like I was like, put $1 donation, but then make it super, have like the jet engines playing and blasting in my ears and have like a full plane come across and get really small right where my forehead is usually when it's the most intense. Just have it land straight across.
Or something like I don't know, put like a scoreboard up on your forehead or something. And I can make these jokes, right? Because my forehead's fucking huge. Like I've got what I call like a Boss Rutan head. I don't know if you know who Boss Rutan is.
Is it the fighter? Is that who I'm thinking
Yeah,
of?
the fighter.
Yeah.
He's to me one of the coolest dudes in the world. He has like this this vertical forehead that's like 3 times taller than it should be. I've always told myself that if I ever do forehead cam, it's gonna be forehead, and somehow it's still just gonna take up the entire like camera uh scene somehow. So it's like, oh man,
Yeah.
but
Boss
these little
Rutan.
things you could do that just make it your own thing. I think that's nice to kind of separate yourself. It's like, oh, just some dude with a webcam on their face, and that doesn't take away from like the streamer, but just little things that just grab people at first. Like, hey, why am I just looking at this dude's forehead? Why did a plane just land on it?
Right,
Why am I,
right.
why am I looking at this
I can
dude's
tell you this
hands?
right now. I've never seen another stream where someone lands a plane on their forehead. I'll tell you that
There we
much.
go. You corner that market.
I think it'd be funny to do like a little volleyball scene, maybe just like like a 5 point rally or something between some stick figures. Like a little volleyball net pops up right where my head is, and so like little stick figure. I don't know. That's
Yeah.
like so beyond my priority right now. But hey, these are all these little stupid ideas.
Just take some notes down. Get back to it. Just
Oh
look back.
yeah. Have you ever looked at your old like branding and stuff? Like did you ever create anything to go on your channels that you look back on?
I don't think it's really changed too much from when I started because for me, I know I've always wanted. I never really like figured out what my brand would be. I think that I've always wanted something kind of like a space motif or something kind of like ethereal. So it never really changed too much. And it's like, oh, I can look back and say, wow, it was like super cringy 3 years ago or however, how long? God, it's almost 4 years ago now. 4 years ago when I started compared to now, it was just a bunch of still images as opposed to like some stream elements, graphic
Mhm.
effects. But like, how about you in terms of how your branding changed? How like do you look back at it and think, man, I'm really glad that I learned how to, I don't know, go on Fiverr and get better stuff made or
Yeah,
design better things myself.
yeah. I think so. It's changed a lot. I used to go under a different handle altogether. I was like, oh, I'll just have cool little cartoons, like a little character that would be involved on every page, and that character was supposed to represent
Nice.
me. It was like, I don't know, man. I kept everything because I think it'd be cool to make a video someday and be like, hey guys, if you're ever worried about branding, or if your branding is gonna change, um, look at all this stupid stuff that I spent money on or that I took hours out of my day to make myself that I used for 2 days. That I could have been learning Photoshop instead, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's changed a lot, and then I finally realized like the themes I always come back to is just keep it simple and just don't take it too seriously and just be silly. And the photo I have now and everything is you love Nick Tana. Have you ever heard of him or seen him stream or he
I've come
photoshop.
across him a couple times, I think, through stuff I'd see on your socials.
Yeah, we used to do a pod for a different channel, and he would ask for thumbnail photos so that he makes silly faces because that's what you do. And then he would every once in a while would just Photoshop this same pose on different. He's gotten really good at Photoshop. So the one you see is from Payday, and it's like my head on top of a Payday character on top of a roof, whatever. And another one, it's me on top of a Quidditch player in Harry Potter with the same pose. So it's like you start to get these high res photos in game with my face on it. I was like, that's silly, not taking it too seriously.
Sure.
That's what I like. And so I stopped overthinking it. I took out all the little cartoon characters, and not that I don't like them, and that those emotes on Twitch are still there, and they might have a place in the future. I don't know, but like for now, I don't have a overly complicated headers on anything. I just have the handle, and like that's it. I don't have like crazy overlays or anything. And I was like, man, I just need to stop focusing on branding and like start learning Premiere Pro better. Like maybe I should learn how to
content.
What's that?
Focus on content. Sorry, not to interrupt you.
No, you're good. Yeah, exactly.
Like the content you make, like literally the meat of what you do is like, don't worry about the sides,
Exactly.
It's like, because, or the garnish, I guess, is a more realistic way to put it, because I think, and I see this too, there are so many streamers out there, and I'll sometimes like just scour Twitch for a bit to just like lurk in smaller streamers, me being a small streamer myself, just want to support who I can, but I'll lurk in streams, and it's like people who have almost no viewers, and they've got like these amazing, gorgeous, beautiful overlays and about panels, and it's a shame. It's like it's not even like I have the answers to what I could tell this person to like divert their energy, but it's like, it's a shame that this really cool person put all this like time or work or money into making these things, and it's like they're still missing what could help them connect to a larger audience. And like maybe sometimes it's just better to, like you said, keep it simple and focus on you as a creator. And this is me talking to them hypothetically, like focus on you as a creator. Don't try to just do what you others see people making. It's like, okay, because you can go to any big streamer and they've got the layouts, but they've got the audience,
and they've got the money.
They've got the money. They've got the money, the sponsors.
They've got the teams. They don't even do their own social media. You think, a 1% streamer sits there and is like, I got to edit my 8-hour stream. Are you kidding me? Exactly. No, they pay someone to do it. So you can't compare it. And it's like you said, man. And so what I did is because I'd pay money and I'd have this like amazing graphic made up, and I'd look at it after a week and be like, I don't really like that. I saw this artist looks cool. Pay them, have them create something. I go, I don't really like this either. And I thought I did, and in a moment I did because it was new, but I didn't really like it. So I took all that down. I just made everything myself. It's not fancy by any means, but I also feel zero desire to remove it, because I was like, because if I remove it, I'm gonna have to make something else, and that's gonna take time. And I just like knew that's how my brain was operating, so I'm just gonna make it. And it's just words. I made everything in Canva. Canva's great, by the way. I'd say save your money, make it yourself. Just understand it's not going to be exactly what you want, but build the audience first, because then if you change stuff, they're still going to be there.
Because like you can build that audience, and here's hoping little by little you start to make a little something from it. Like, hey, you've got a couple subs this month. Go on Fiverr, and then you can maybe get like a header done, or get like a custom alert, like sub notification. So it's not something that's like overpowering the senses, because there's a lot of sensory overload I find in a lot of, not just like streamers, but in a lot of design in content generally. And whether it's in a reel or in a TikTok or in a YouTube video or in a stream, it's like there's a lot of sensory overload. But if you just like pull all that away and take little by little, just grow. Like you said, bigger streamers have the money, bigger creators have the money. So don't just pour all that back into it. But I think there was a YouTuber when I first started streaming. I would watch like a bunch of his videos. Harris Heller. He would
Yeah.
talk about how people would like they would get their subs, they'd get their payouts, and they'd like buy a new monitor or they'd buy new gaming chairs. Like no, maybe focus on getting a slightly better mic. It doesn't have to be something expensive, but just so you sound crispy. Because you comment on my mic all the time, and I'm so like proud of this little $60 mic that
sounds
I bought
amazing.
of B&H. It's like I feel good that I was like at least at some point smart about what I did in this crazy content journey of mine, So I just
It makes a difference. It makes a
It
world of
does.
difference. You can have the most elaborate alerts and most beautiful artwork done, and then you plug in and you sound like you're in a walkie-talkie from Alien. And you're like, it's not gonna, it's, and people instantly are turned off. But then you can go for the same reason. You can go to some big streamer. They don't have a crazy setup, but they sound good.
they
And like,
sound good.
they don't have, the notification might just be their face with a thumbs up.
Yeah.
But their mic is nice. Their camera quality is very, very nice. And the audio video, in my opinion, is more important than the overlays any time of the day. Anytime.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because
Yeah.
it's a very visual and very audible medium, and it's like I've always been the kind of person that kind of like kept it. God, I can't say words.
Hey
right now.
man, you kept it good, brother.
Yeah, I done
Come
keep
down
it
here
real
to
good.
Georgia, man. Get on down here.
I love that boomhauer that just started kind of like creeping out of you there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are you-
dang all. I keep the dang all. Keep it simple, man. Dang.
I love the people down there, man. It's a good place.
I've never been to Georgia actually. I'm not from the U.S. For
You
those that
Canadian?
don't know. I I'm from Barbados actually.
Oh no way.
Yeah. So my accent is some kind of weird smorgasbord of all the American slash Canadian slash British television that I've watched as a kid, and for somehow I never like took on the local accent of Barbados, of Bajan as we say here.
I would have said
sound-
Canada.
sound like a
I would have
tourist
put my
thing.
house on Canada. I would have put the entire everything bet on Canadian.
Oh well, I wasn't gonna make a moose loose in the hoose joke because that is just let's don't do that. But
So you're in Barbados now.
yeah, I've lived there my whole life.
Wow,
I would
that's
have
awesome.
I would love to live somewhere else because it's a nice place to vacation, but I
Sure.
think it's expensive. And you talked about the heat. It is hot,
Yeah.
and it's hot all year round. I don't know what Georgia's like, but Barbados is hot all
Is it
year
humid?
round. Oh yeah, for sure. I
Okay.
think especially because it was raining today, it's particularly so right now because we're getting into that time of the year, like when it starts to go into spring, summer, it gets really humid. It dries up a bit, going into what would be autumn and winter months. But the weather is so like topsy-turvy now everywhere, so I can't even like say, well, it's March, spring's coming because it was hot back in January too, which like somewhere where it'd be winter, it'd be like cool here. But even like some days in January, I'm like, man, I need to sleep with the windows open and the fan on me and
Yeah.
no covers. But yeah, I've been here my whole life, and I've been to the States. Okay, let me rephrase. I've been to 2 states. I've been to Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow I've made it out, and I've been to New York. But I went to New
Somehow
York
you
when
made it
I
out.
somehow I made it out.
We went to
But
the two
New York was
craziest places.
weird. The 2 craziest places.
Exactly the opposite. And where Grand Theft Auto games are taking place. So
Exactly. I went to
that's
both
perfect.
Vice City and Liberty City.
That's
There's just
perfect.
San Andreas left. So I got to book that trip to California. But it's so weird. I went to New York when I was like 6, and I
Okay.
swear, even though I can guarantee you I went, it's like I went there and then dreamt for like 3 days straight because it's so distant from my mind. And I don't know if you ever experienced that, where it's like maybe something you did as a kid, like traveled, and you can remember, like you can say with certainty that you were there, but you can't like recall
Right.
any experience you had while being there. I don't know if that's ever happened to you.
sure it has. I mean, I'm in my 30s as well, so I mean, I could say something in my mid 20s. Like, yeah, I remember going. I have the photo, but I don't really remember the. Your brain is only so much memory. So
Yeah, it's only so elastic
right,
as much as we try to make it more so, but the sleepless nights don't help.
sure.
The sleep deprived nights. Sleepless nights sounds like we've got something on our mind, but for me, it's more like I just don't want to go to bed
Right,
because going to bed means I got to go to work in the morning.
right.
I'd rather stay up and play video games.
Man, that's great. So then, do you experience? I'm just like thinking of where you guys are located. Then, do you experience a lot of the major like weather events down there?
Oh yeah, funny. Like it's like yes and no because Barbados is like the exception to um God, I've lost my train of thought here. Okay, so yeah, when hurricanes hit the Caribbean, they hit them hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Barbados is like the one island that's kind of like out of the chain, so we never get hit as hard as the other ones. So we're like off to the east a little bit.
Yeah.
We're pretty close to like South America. So South America, you've got like Guyana, which is part of the Caribbean, even though it's South America, and then you've got like Trinidad, which is near to us, and then we're above Trinidad, but we're kind of just like off to the east. So when hurricanes somehow manage to like make their way up the chain of islands, which I don't even know how it works because it's like, why is the hurricane going on a rail? I thought it would be like go straight in one line, but it always seems to follow the curve of islands.
Mm-hmm.
So like we're off to the east a bit, so we always kind of just get like the brush of it. But when we're so small that when we feel that little like outer edge of it, like
Yeah.
we've had some really bad ones where I remember about 12 years ago. Can't remember the name. I think it was like Tropical Storm Tomas or something like that. We just were driving through like I was driving through some where I lived because we live in what are called parishes. We don't have like states or counties or whatnot.
Sure.
I was driving through the parish and I'm seeing just like roofs just blowing around, like corrugated steel roofs just blowing around, and like the water is just up to like my tire because it's
Got nowhere
just
to go.
we just nowhere to go. It's crazy. We're so small that when we get hit with that little like outer edge of it,
Yeah.
we get hit hard. But luckily, it takes a very rare occasion for us to feel like the real brunt of it. It's crazy, but no, it's a nice place to vacation. But in
Right.
terms of like living here, I would rather like maybe move to Canada to see what it's
Mhm.
like there and come back here to vacation every so often, see my family. But you know, as much as nice as it is here, it would be nicer to be somewhere where there's more going on, you know, because it's so small and it's so quiet and it's so expensive.
So as a local, I mean, you don't get a whole lot of choice as far as like paying. Like, there's no separation of local pricing and tourism. Is it all just blended basically?
Yeah, basically because like the western side of the island, the western coast is like the west and south really, but especially the west really caters to tourists. So like you know when you're on that side of the island, like you're getting essentially what are the tourist prices. Um,
Right.
but yeah, you kind of just learn to live with it. So I think regardless of which part you are, things are always kind of been kind of expensive here. I think our exchange rate is like 2 to 1 like 2 US to every one bar no wait, 2 Barbados every 1 US. Wow, my brain just completely did a
I was like, that sounds awesome.
did a dial up there.
Yeah.
But so it's like we'll go to but even though that's the exchange rate, nothing like equates properly. So you'll find like the prices feel like 3 times more. And to explain, it's like I'll go into a Burger King and I'll order like a Whopper meal. And it's like $16, and that's like before I even like upsize anything. It's like a small fries, a small drink, and a Whopper is like $16.
Yeah, it's kind of where we're headed though, a little bit.
I noticed
Yeah, it's not like that much cheaper anymore.
because I remember when we'd travel and it would be like not as crazy as it is now, but like I would hear about the way prices are going up there, and it's like Jesus. Even the gas prices, like I remember it would take like $150 to fill my gas tank, and now I'm hearing things like
Oh,
that Yeah, I'm hearing things like that in the
Yeah,
US. I was like, wow, y'all aren't that far off anymore.
yeah, the South. I live in the South, and that whole Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas, Alabama, Louisiana, that whole stretch. It's not. It's cheaper than everywhere else, comparatively for the most part. I imagine like New Mexico is probably pretty cheap. Um, maybe some Midwest states like your
Yeah.
Nebraskas, your Oklahomas, but where there's a major metropolitan city, it is it's not cheap. It's definitely not cheap to live, and and that kind of leaks out into the suburbs, if you want to call it that, or
Yeah.
more industrial parts of town. But
Mhm.
it's just generally cheaper down here anyway. If you the rule, not a rule, but the saying goes, a blue state is a little more expensive to live in than a red state. That's just what it is. So
Yeah, I
Georgia
get
happens
it.
to be a red state. So gas, right now, gas on my best day will be just under $3 a gallon.
Mhm.
And, my worst day right now, I think today it was like 3.23 a gallon.
Which, you know what? It could be a lot worse because I would see like $6 and $7 a gallon up there, and I'm like, damn, you all are not that far off from where we are.
Yeah. Like Washington State, where I was born and raised on the
Mhm.
West Coast, gas is
Mhm.
closer to $5. So it's a
Crazy.
difference.
Yeah.
But it's just because every state is different. It's you could you cross that
And then it's like
invisible line
some
of
parts
dirt,
within
and
some
it's
states, because it's like you have more rural. Because even in the South, like I imagine you have more rural areas where it may be cheaper, like the cost of living generally. And then, like you said, the major metropolitan areas, like I imagine being in Georgia, like the Atlanta area is gonna be a lot more than I can't even name like a small county in Georgia. But like even within states, you can't even escape like that disparity between like this the cost of living.
right. Once you enter the county, wherever the largest city is,
Yeah.
unfortunately, like the largest cities voting, when the way they vote, you're also voting for people who live in the rural areas. So
Mhm.
they might vote for X, Y, and Z, whatever your politics. We don't have to get into politics, but it's
Mhm.
just the way it is.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, once you get close to one of those major cities, everything skyrockets.
I gotcha. So,
But I'm sure
you
that's common
mentioned,
everywhere.
yeah, yeah, it makes sense logically, like where you get more people. I guess where the larger cities are, like certain people will move that way, and they'll be in a larger mass. So that's just how they'll end up voting.
Right.
But you said you were from Washington. How come you moved to Georgia? Or like, was it a direct move, or have you been in other states throughout your life?
I went to originally born in Virginia.
Oh,
Moved.
my mistake. I misread that
No, no, no,
completely.
no, no, no. But I moved there when I was 10 years old, so that's where I
Okay,
grew
okay.
up. That's where I became sentient. My brain. That's where
That's
memories
where
were
you gained
formed.
consciousness.
Yeah, but so my memories were formed in Washington State, and I went to
Mhm.
school out there. Went to college out there. Then moved back to Seattle and lived and worked for about a decade. And then the company I worked for Zillow, and Zillow
Oh,
moved
okay.
me to the East Coast
Mhm.
to be part of the new branch down here in Atlanta. Um, for the role that I was in, they needed someone on the East Coast to do. It was a lot of like new employee onboarding. It was like HR support. Basically, you
Oh,
support HR business partners, and you'll
mhm.
do things like immigration, pay, firings, hirings. Like you write up paperwork for HR people. But it was a support role, but all in house. And so I moved down here, and then COVID happened like 2 months later,
Wow.
3 months later, something like
That
that.
had to
So
like completely upend like any like idea that you had of
yes,
how things would
instantly.
be at the time, just
Yeah.
upended everything, huh?
The office permanently closed. My job became permanent work from home. For some
Damn.
people that's a blessing, but in
Mhm.
a city where I didn't know anybody, that not good.
Mhm.
So, because that's the easiest way to go out and meet people is through your work.
Yeah.
At least as an adult, that's how I feel.
No,
Um,
for sure.
if especially if you're not on Twitch or anything, it's wait,
That's been my
that's a
social
nice,
interaction.
yeah. Uh, yeah. So then that happened. Got real sad, very depressed. Didn't I started to not like the job, and you're at home, so and we weren't used to working at home yet, so you develop bad habits, and you're doing it. And like work and hanging out at home blend. And so I was just like, all right, I gotta find like a real job to
Mhm.
get back outside. And Changed that, so that's how I ended up in Atlanta, and I've been here since.
Well, I'm glad you found something that can help you break that rut, because I know mentally how much of like a tax that can be on you. So
Yeah, oh yeah, you feel, I felt alone, very alone.
like the days just blend together, and like you say, you feel so alone. It's like it feels unending, to not sound too bleak, but it does feel unending. So to take that step to kind of like, no, I'm gonna make my own light out of this tunnel because I can't take this anymore. I think I'm really glad that you're able to do that, and just knowing that there are some people who 4 years later are still stuck in some kind of like mental rut because it really feels like time has flown by since 2020. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
we're 4 years later from when it began, and it doesn't feel like that.
right.
So yeah,
Yeah,
it's like where did the time go? I thought it was just my age when I look back on it, because being in our 30s, people say as you get older, time goes by faster, and I thought it was a part of it was that, but like it felt like just yesterday I wasn't 30 yet. I was 27, 28, and it's like,
right.
nope, you are past that milestone, buddy. And it's like, where did the past 4 years of my life go? But I
Yeah, it
just
sucks. It sucks.
it sucks, but if we can, I try to remind myself, I try to tell myself, to make the moments count, and I often need to remind myself of that. So just I'll need to write it down somewhere, just like stick it on my wall, just above my monitor. Maybe I need to just not be on this computer so much.
But yeah, I think the pros being you have less time for nonsense. So at least I feel I'm a lot more decisive in everyday
Mhm.
life, who I want to spend my time with, where I want to spend my time. It's much easier to say no. Like there's so much power in just telling people no, um,
Yeah.
to protect yourself. And then along with it, you'd like to hope that you gain some wisdom along the way and learn some things and gotten better at whatever you're trying to do, and grown from mistakes and everything. But you have to get older. It's like
Yeah,
that's the
you
bummer.
can't.
It's hard to be mentally mature when you're 23.
It really is, and 23-year-old me was an idiot. So
Yeah,
as
we're
much
all
as I
dumb. We're all dummies.
we're all dumps. So as much as I wish still had that time, I'm glad the growth that came with it. It's like going back to what we were saying. It's like we had to have that time of screwing up, even just in how we live our lives, to learn how to be more deliberate and how to be more
Right.
intentional and
Right.
how to better value the time that we had. It sucks that it comes at the cost of that time, but you can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
That would be that's some sort of miracle to have both wisdom and time.
I, good for them. They can find it.
If someone out there has it, please take me back.
Yeah.
Yeah, show me how to do it.
Um. Question for you: have you played Baldur's Gate?
I have not played Baldur's Gate. For me, I tend to kind of wait when new games come out.
Sure.
It often used to be because of like a cost thing, because going back to where I live, because everything costs twice as much
Okay.
instead of paying.
This is something. Sorry to interrupt, but this is something I just learned. Which sounds stupid, but I'll admit it.
I don't think it
I
will be, but okay.
So when you're buying a game through Steam, it is
Mhm.
not sold to you at the same price it is sold to me. Is that correct?
I see the US price, but when I put in my PayPal
Yeah.
information
Okay.
and they say, "Hey, you've just been charged like $60 US," I know they just took $120 off my
You're like,
credit
welcome to
card.
Barbados, and you're like,
Yeah.
that's so rude, man. I've never
Yeah, just like reached into my pocket and punched me while they were at it.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I was talking. So Dangerous Moose, if you've seen him on Twitter, he's Canadian. He enlightened me to
mhm.
this. Of course, like right, like, but of course that's the prices are different. And he was
Yeah.
explaining it, and I was like, look, I know I'm being an ugly American right now, but that just blew my mind. I of course it's a different price, and
Can you
that
imagine what it's like in Europe when you see euros like a euro symbol next to
I
that
don't know.
number? How
But okay,
different it'll
so
be?
but this, and then he was telling me about this, and I was like, okay, so maybe these reviews are worth the time, because for me, let's say $20 for a game that's 3 years old is not worth it. And if it's for
Mhm.
someone who's located in the EU, it's definitely
Mhm.
not worth it. But it's just something to think about. And yeah, but of course. But anyway, so a game like Baldur's Gate, 60, $70,
Mm-hmm.
2x that's the price you're looking at pretty much.
That's the price I'm looking at. But it's not like I'm against paying it, but it would have to be a game that I am absolutely 100% looking forward to. And the only game in my entire adult life that I can say that I not only paid full price on launch, but I actually pre-ordered it, was Cyberpunk. And honestly, I have zero regrets.
Worth.
Having said that, no, I've not played Baldur's Gate 1 because I don't really take to new games, I guess, like I said, out of that habit. But then 2, I like RPGs, and I was intrigued by it as this incredible, like expansive, massive RPG experience. But it was the top-down, isometric, click to do everything kind of RPG. I was like, oh, it's like playing Diablo or Path of Exile or League purely in like how you control it. That always just was like very off-putting to me. Like that single thing was like, man, this game looks amazing, but playing it is going to be so mechanically frustrating. Because I grew up on platformers.
Yeah.
So to be like click to move, and it's not even like a turn-based combat thing, but yeah, how the game mechanically works is like is very much what I take into it, which I imagine a lot of people do.
Takes some getting used to, and there's like hints, but there's not really a tutorial. They just send you in.
Right.
And I will say the first character that I made is not who I play with anymore.
Who'd you start with? Like what race?
I started with the bard, I think.
Mm-hmm. Human bard,
dwarf bard. I thought it'd be cool to be like a little dwarf with a guitar type thing.
Charismatic short man.
Yeah. I always like the charisma characters. I think the persuasion option gets you so far. I started, Knights of the Old Republic. I always thought the persuasion options would get you further. It was just so much easier than fighting everyone.
It is.
I always felt quite that way, but sorry, before we go, we're almost at an hour. I wanted to try a new segment where you guess the game in 20 questions or less.
Ooh, okay.
So I have a game in mind, no hints. You get 20 yes or no questions, and we'll do that to wrap this up. But before we jump into that, just remind people where they can find you, and anything you're working on, anything that you want them to check out, and any schedules and your handle.
Okay, yeah. So my name is Zach. I go by Zacchariah everywhere, but it's honestly better. It's easier to just call me Zach, because when I made this username, I was not thinking about how long and arduous it is. But yeah, you can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Zacchariah, ZACCHARIAH. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter. I have YouTube. I don't have any videos up as yet, but I am working on something, a Mirror's Edge Catalyst video, and Ghost was kind enough to light that fire under my ass and remind me that, hey, don't let your mental blocks stop you. So yeah, I'll be working on something there, but you can catch me usually streaming Tuesdays, Thursdays, Sundays. Saturdays, sorry. God. But yeah, that's mainly it for me. I don't really have anything else to plug, but yeah.
Okay, man. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for your time, and you are welcome back anytime.
It has been a blast. Thank you so much for having me, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's jump into this segment. I will keep track of your questions, and I have a game in mind. We're gonna start off easy since you're the first one. So nothing too crazy complicated. I'm not even gonna give you hints. I almost just did. I'm not gonna say a word.
Okay, I have 20 questions.
20 questions, yes or no, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Did it come out after the year 2000?
Taking some notes. Oh, hey, we're learning, man. This is a learning process.
Exactly. This is learn as we go.
Did it come after 2000 is your question?
After 2000. Yes.
Yes, it did.
Yes. Okay. After 2000. Is it a fighting game?
No.
Okay. It's not a fighting game. That pause told me something. Is it a AAA game?
Yes.
Okay, it's AAA game. After 2000, not a fighting game, AAA game. Is it a shooter?
Yes.
Okay, it's a shooter. Did it come out before 2010?
Yes.
Okay, so in that little decade there, it's a shooter. That
That little decade, yeah. In that
little
10-year
decade
span,
there,
yeah.
that very
Little game
influential
came out in 10
decade.
years. Yeah, go ahead.
Is it Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare?
It is not.
Okay. I just had to throw one out there.
No.
Is it a first-person shooter?
Yes.
It's a first-person shooter.
You have 13 questions left.
13 questions left. Was it published by EA?
It was not published by EA.
Not published by EA. Okay.
I know that I'm gonna get some of these wrong. People are like, it doesn't even game, dude.
Honestly, right? I'm like my brain. I don't know if this happens to you where it's such a simple scenario, but you can never just draw the questions. It feels like you're just. I would suck at Jeopardy. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
I would suck at game shows. Okay, it's 2000 to 2010 AAA game, not EA. It's a shooter, first-person shooter. Is it published by Activision?
No.
Okay. Is it a multiplayer game?
Yes.
What the hell? What is this game?
It is. It has multiplayer.
It has multiplayer. It's not primarily a multiplayer.
However you define multiplayer, yeah. It's not a primary.
Well, you see, that really wasn't a thing until like recently anyway. Like games had campaigns. Remember campaigns?
I love campaigns.
Yeah, I like campaigns are great. I want more of those.
Baldur's Gate.
Baldur's Gate. There we go. Even with shooters, they had campaigns. Crazy.
No. You have 10 questions. You're halfway.
I'm halfway. Okay. It's a shooter. Was it? Oh, I think this is an important like distinction.
Mm-hmm.
Did it come out on the Nintendo Wii?
It did not.
Okay, cool. There were some games there, so that would have really whittled down my options if it was like barely any shooters came out of that. So I knew if there was a shooter that came out for that, then I had a very small pool to pick from. Is it a Medal of Honor game?
It is not.
It's not a Medal of Honor game. Is it a Rainbow Six game?
It is not.
What shooters are left?
That's all of them, man.
It's all of them. Yeah, we've got all the shooters.
6, yeah.
Call of Duty, EA. I'm just like going to be listing games at this point. If I have like what, 8 questions left, 7?
You're down to 7.
I'm down to 7. All I can do is like name games at this point if it's a shooter. Is it a SOCOM game?
It is not.
Okay, I'm genuinely baffled now. Is it Doom 3?
It is not.
Damn.
All great.
Did it come out on console?
Yes.
Okay. Because I was thinking Quake for a second. I don't think a Quake ever came out on console, but I could be crazy. Is it? Wait, no, that's not a AAA game. Is it Team Fortress 2?
It is not. 3 questions left.
Fake gamer.
Yeah.
All right, 3 questions left. Shooter. Did it come out after? No, that's gonna be a waste of a question. I have nothing else. Did it come out after 2005?
No.
Okay. I have a 5-year gap I can work with.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask questions I asked before? Because I might have forgotten some questions.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll allow it since this is round 1 of this.
Okay. Did I ask if it was a Call of Duty game or no?
Yes, you did.
Okay, I did ask if it was a Call of Duty game. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I am. All right, 2005 shooter, not a Call of Duty.
After 2000, and you said before 2005.
Sorry, yeah. So between 2000 and 2005.
Yep.
Came out on console.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so it wouldn't have come out on the Wii because Wii didn't come out till after 2006. So that was a burnt question. It's not a Call of Duty. It's not a Rainbow Six. It's not an EA game, so it's not Battlefield. It's not SOCOM. It's not Medal of Honor. Jesus. It's not Team Fortress 2. It's not Doom. What shooters were left? I have 2 questions left or 3?
You have 2 questions.
2 questions. All right. You should really like put a Jeopardy clock on here too. Because really make me sweat.
No. This is perfect. I think I'm gonna do these like when there's like 10 minutes left because we won't know, or maybe 5. But
yeah, that would really make me sweat. Like there's a webcam on me.
Yeah.
Is this game set in the future? That might be a too open-ended question.
Yes.
Yes, it is set in the future.
Yes. You have 1 question and then your final guess.
1 question and my final guess.
Yeah.
It's set in the future. Is it Halo?
It is Halo.
You can tell that I did not have an Xbox as a kid. I completely forgot about Halo.
Combat Evolved. You got it on the 20th
Halo
question.
Combat Evolved. Holy shit. I was a PlayStation and Nintendo kid.
Oh, yeah.
It was all that was left.
That's awesome. Because you named all the other big shooters, and I was like, there's 1 more.
You're just like gritting your teeth, like, come on, man, there's 1 left.
Yeah. Okay, these might be harder than I thought, so that's good. That's good.
No, I think it's just me. I swear it's just me.
No. Halo Combat Evolved was the game. But hey, man, I appreciate it. And to anyone listening, episode 1 officially, but episode 27 of the podcast, the Midnight Release podcast. Thank you, sir, Zacchariah, for being in here, man, and we'll run it back soon.
Thank you, Ghost. I appreciate it, man. I really, really do.
Absolutely. All right.
Take care.